In order to really get your head around what Jesus accomplished in Cana, you have to go to Cana and sit in on this wedding. It's a week-long feast. There's tables, chairs, children running around. There's good friends, laughter, and conversation. There is plenty of food and, thanks to Jesus, there is plenty of wine to drink. And without any fanfare, Jesus reveals his glory, and his disciples here believe in him. It's all real, it's all earthy, and Jesus affirms that it is all very good. From here, Jesus heads toward Jerusalem for the Passover, and the atmosphere changes dramatically. There is a time for laughter and feasting, and there is a time to throw furniture into the sky. If the idea of God becoming man, complete with a sense of humour and the capacity for real friendship with sinners, bothers you, as though such things are beneath a truly holy God, then you probably won't enjoy what comes next either. John chapter 2, verse 14. In the temple, Jesus found those who were selling oxen and sheep and pigeons and the money changers sitting there. And, making a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple with the sheep and the oxen. And he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. In this scene, Jesus goes from a friendly wedding guest to a zealous public nuisance. The Passover was a time when Israel celebrated its deliverance from Egypt. People came to the temple with animals for the altar. These were not sacrificed and thrown in a heap. They were barbecued and eaten with joy and a good deal of whiskey, Deuteronomy 14:26, and thankfulness in the presence of God. If you had to travel a fair distance, you could pick up your animal at the temple. This was an act of kindness on God's part, but, like many charitable things, someone had learned how to make a buck from it. Into this busy scene Jesus walks. Chaos ensues, and the religious leaders demand a sign that he has authority to do this, to which Jesus offers the following cryptic reply: I will destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Jesus then walks away and leaves them to stew over the incident. From this brief exchange, I want to make 3 simple observations. First, Jesus takes the material world seriously. The temple was a shadow that pointed toward Jesus as the meeting place between God and man. But rather than diminishing its value, the fact that it was a shadow is why it mattered so much to Jesus. Those who doubt it need to explain why they get so touchy when I come into their homes and draw a big black moustache and glasses on the portrait of their grandmother hanging on the wall. Throughout Scripture, the shadow and the thing it signifies are covenantally joined, like a man and woman in marriage. To defame the shadow or image is to defame the substance. And so John 13 verse 20, Whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. We should take this to heart in the way we treat those created in God's image, and the way we speak to people who are attempting to destroy that image. Secondly, Jesus felt no need to explain himself to hard-hearted meatheads. Jesus knew what was in a man. His reply to those who demand a sign is cryptic, and he doesn't try and explain it to them, even though it will be used against him at his trial. So also his disciples are likely to be misunderstood, and we should not feel compelled to justify our words when they are spoken in truth and love. It's okay to let people simmer in their own juices. It's not okay to manipulate them into liking you by backing down with apologies and explanation whose only design is to get you off the hook. Be misunderstood and bear it gladly. Thirdly, Jesus was not waiting around for any man to arise in his defense. The event ends with all these people testifying that Jesus is the Christ because of the signs he performed. But raising $40,000 for the church's creche through a bikini car wash does not justify a bikini. Likewise, Jesus was not leaning on their applause as vindication for what he just did to those tables and chairs. Instead, he entrusted himself to God's vindication. Who will you call upon in your defense on Judgment Day? Or, more immediately, who do you call upon to vindicate you when people accuse you falsely? Will you entrust yourself to Jesus, whom God has vindicated before all the world, or will you try and vindicate yourself by pointing to your popularity, your reputation, your past exploits, or your good works? God has sent Jesus to be our vindication. It was an undeserved act of God's grace, and we are called to trust in it and not in the opinions of man. God vindicated Jesus at the resurrection, and Jesus will vindicate you there as well.